Earlier this morning, I made a video about income taxes and the out of control criminal organization called the Internal Revenue Service. Anyway, income tax has been argued for a long time. And the IRS always says, courts have always ruled about people in your position. Well, let me tell you what the courts have actually said. And these are some statements that I found years ago, and what I refer to as the meat and potatoes of the argument, because as anybody knows, a lot of these court decisions and court rulings, they just drone on and on and on enough to put you to sleep. So these are the meat and potatoes of a couple of them here. And one of these first days, I'll break out the other ones and type it out so you can see what years and what cases these were. And this is the meat and potatoes of the argument, like I say. This one here in CIR versus Trustees of INV Association, it was in 1939. It clearly states, and one of them is basically for emphasis added where it says and state, but it clearly states, and by statutory definition, the term taxpayer includes any person, trust, or estate subject to a tax imposed by the Revenue Act. Since the statutory definition of taxpayer is exclusive, the federal, and that's where it says, emphasis and state, but it said federal courts do not have the power to create non-statutory taxpayers for the purpose of applying the provisions of the Revenue Act. Now, that's saying something. This other one here, Long versus Rasmussen, goes back to 1922, but at least two other times that I know of, and I've heard of more, this same statement was made. This one was back, I say, in 1922, Long versus Rasmussen. This is the meat and potatoes of the argument without all the other mumbo-jumbo. It's going to put you all to sleep. The revenue laws are a code or system and regulation of tax assessment and collection. They relate to taxpayers and not to non-taxpayers. The latter are without their scope. No procedure is prescribed for non-taxpayers, and no attempt is made to annul any of the rights and remedies in due course of law. With them, Congress does not assume to deal, and they are neither the subject nor the object of the revenue laws. That's right. The same statement was said again, I think, in 1958 in a banking case, and then in 1972, Economy, Plumbing, Heating versus U.S. And the IRS has a team of assholes, pardon my language, and they go on the internet and they just scrap all kinds of stuff, and some of this was able to be found before IRS agents started taking it down. You can still find this stuff. You can go to the law books of any attorney and find this in the record books. Now, you notice it said taxpayers and non-taxpayers. That's what used to be referred to, but today we call them the government sector and private sector. And what does this essentially mean? I'll tell you what it means. The non-taxpayer, the American private sector, they call them non-taxpayers because they were not required to pay the federal income tax. They were not required to pay on money that they earned. And that crooked organization, organized crime group, the Internal Revenue Service, they have been known to go after juries. They've been known to go after elected officials who dare stand up to them. Mr. Trump is right when he says, abolish that criminal agency. And until IRS agents start going to prison by the trainload, and every IRS commissioner still alive since the repeal of the 1942 temporary 17-month victory tax, until they start going to prison, this is never going to stop. Big reason why they want to put Mr. Trump out of commission is because, hey, he's saying what the rest of us is saying. Enough is enough. Look these up for yourself. Long versus Rasmussen, 1922. And this one right here. You can see them for yourself. Thank you.